All right, Potter fans, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today we're taking a look at something a little different. We're going to be exploring a fan-written alternate ending
Oh, cool.
to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
Interesting.
And basically, let's just say victory comes with a bit of a terrifying twist. So get this. Imagine Harry Potter,
okay.
not as the boy who lived,
Right.
but as the new Dark Lord.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. That's definitely a chilling thought. I mean, it really flips everything we think we know about the series on its head. You know, we see the battle, Voldemort's defeated, but instead of this feeling of relief and joy, there's this underlying sense of wrongness, almost like magic itself has been, I don't know, twisted somehow.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, the Battle of Hogwarts, it's done, Voldemort's gone, but something just feels really off. It's almost like this shadow has fallen over everything.
Right. And in the original story, defeating Voldemort would mean like the end of dark magic, right? But this alternate ending, it suggests that it's way more complicated than that. It's like by dying, Voldemort didn't destroy the darkness, he just unleashed it in this totally unexpected way.
Okay. So we're talking about that whole shared immortality thing tied to the Deathly Hallows, right?
Yeah.
Something Voldemort kind of messed with without realizing it. So what does that even mean? What are we talking about here?
Well, you see, Voldemort was obsessed with immortality. He wanted to conquer death. And that led him to try and manipulate the magic of the Deathly Hallows. But he didn't really understand what he was doing. He basically tethered himself to this ancient power, created a kind of magical echo, you could say. So when he died, that echo, all that potential for dark magic, it didn't just disappear, it had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And it latched on to the only other soul that was connected to it, Harry.
Wow. And there's this one detail in this alternate ending. It sends chills down my spine. You know Harry's dark mark?
Yeah.
The symbol of Voldemort's followers. Well, it comes back, but it's different this time. Instead of fading, it glows with this intense, sinister light, like it's pulsing, almost like it's feeding on Harry.
Oh, that's a powerful image. I mean, can you imagine what must be going on in Harry's head? The boy who lived suddenly becoming the very thing he fought against. And it's not just this external force, it's this darkness corrupting him from the inside.
Right, and it's not just about this dark power he gets, this alternate ending. It takes it a step further. The Deathly Hallows themselves, they're changing, twisting Harry into something that defies the laws of magic. What does that even mean for the rest of the wizarding world? If the rules of magic are changing, what happens to everyone else?
That's a huge question. I mean, it implies that magic itself is fundamentally shifting. This isn't just a new Dark Lord, it's like the very fabric of magic is being rewritten. The whole wizarding world as we know it could be completely reshaped.
And another thing, it's not just power that Harry's dealing with. He starts hearing voices, whispers of all the people who were consumed by dark magic, throughout history. This isn't just about inheriting power. It's like this chorus of darkness is trying to influence him, his thoughts, his actions, maybe even his very soul.
Exactly. It throws the whole good versus evil thing right out the window. What even is magic at this point? Is it good? Is it evil? Or is it something way more complicated than that?
Makes you think, right? Is magic just a tool, something that can be used for good or evil depending on who's wielding it? Or is there something inherently dangerous about trying to control too much of it? Going beyond what humans are supposed to be able to do.
And what's really interesting is this alternate ending, it kind of throws out that whole chosen one narrative, doesn't it? What if being the chosen one isn't about fulfilling some prophecy, but about fighting against this really terrifying fate? What if Harry's real test wasn't defeating Voldemort, but resisting the pull of this immense darkness?
It really makes you wonder if any of us put in that position would have made a different choice.
Right, and think about Dumbledore's final spell, the one that was meant to seal Voldemort's power inside Harry to protect him. It's almost ironic, because it made him the chosen one, but it also made him the only one who could control this crazy balance between light and dark. And now, that balance is totally messed up.
Which brings us to Ron and Hermione. Oh man, talk about an impossible situation. Their best friend, the person they've fought alongside, risked their lives for, he's becoming the very thing they were terrified of. So what do? Do they stand against him? Do they try to talk to him, reason with him? I mean, what would you do?
It's just heartbreaking. Imagine having to make that decision, to turn against the person you care about most, knowing it might mean having to, destroy him.
And knowing that if they don't, the whole wizarding world, maybe even the whole world, could fall under the rule of this dark power, unlike anything they've ever seen.
And don't forget, Hermione, she's always the researcher, right? She starts digging into these ancient prophecies, desperately trying to find some kind of solution. And what she finds is terrifying. These prophecies, they suggest that the Chosen One isn't just capable of destroying evil, but they could also bring it back, like resurrect it. And that means Voldemort could come back, even more powerful than before.
Oh, wow. So not only is Harry becoming this incredibly powerful dark wizard, but he also has the power to bring back Voldemort, potentially making him even stronger than he was before.
Yeah, it really does paint a pretty bleak picture. It's like Harry's not just burdened with all this dark power, but he could also unleash something even worse on the world.
Yeah. And speaking of bleak, this alternate ending, it doesn't shy away from showing Harry's transformation. I mean, it's not just his magic that's changing, it's like his whole being.
Right. You can see it in the way he acts in his eyes. There's this cold, calculating look. The Harry we knew, the Harry who always put friendship and love first, he's fading away.
Yeah, it's almost like we're watching a completely different character.
Yeah.
And like the worst part is, a part of him, the real Harry, he must still be in there somewhere, fighting against all that darkness. But can he survive it?
That's the tragedy of it all. The Harry who faced Voldemort, who chose love and sacrifice over and over again, his biggest enemy now, it's himself.
And it all leads to this confrontation, this duel. Hermione, she's desperate to save Harry. So she tries this risky thing, this potion from the Chamber of Secrets. It might be able to strip away his dark powers, but when she tries to give it to him, well, it leads to this awful duel between Harry and his friends.
And this isn't some friendly duel, it's a fight for Harry's soul, literally. In the story, it talks about how Harry's fighting style changes. The magic he uses, it's raw power, it's ruthless, completely different from the Harry we're used to.
Yeah, it's like he's not even fighting to defend himself anymore or to protect anyone. It's like he wants to dominate, to control everything. All that compassion and empathy, it's gone, replaced by this like cold, unstoppable force.
There's this line from Dumbledore early in the series. He says, "It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." And in this alternate ending, Harry's choices, they show exactly what he's become.
So in the end, I mean, does Harry fight this? Does he try to hold on to who he used to be?
He doesn't. There's this one line that really gets me. It says, "Harry, though devastated by the decisions he has made, decides that the fight will never end." It's so sad. He's resigned to his fate, to this new role as this powerful but dark figure. He thinks he's the only one who can keep things in order, even if it means ruling through fear. It's like a twisted version of, the burden he carried as the boy who lived, but so much worse.
Wow. It's so different from the ending we're used to. Like good doesn't always win, love doesn't conquer all. In this version, Harry defeats Voldemort, but it costs him his soul.
Right. It's a reminder that power, even if you have good intentions, it can corrupt you. Makes you question what it really means to be a hero. Is it about being good? Or is it about the choices you make, even when things are really, really hard?
And what about Ron and Hermione? What happens to them in this new world?
Well, in the end, they decide to leave Harry. They know they have to try and stop him, even though it's their best friend. It's a heartbreaking choice, but it shows that they still believe in good, even when things are so dark.
It shows how loyal they are, their love for the Harry they knew. But it's so tragic, They have to become enemies of the boy who lived.
It makes you wonder, could Harry ever come back from this? Is there any good left in him? Or is he lost forever?
It's just a sad ending for everyone. Harry lost in the darkness, and Ron and Hermione forced to fight their best friend. No happy ending, just this cold, oppressive world, and even the greatest hero can fall.
And that's the power of this ending. It makes you think about what it means to be human, about how fragile hope is, and that the fight between good and evil, it never really ends. It forces you to ask some uncomfortable questions, to think about what's right and wrong, and to understand that even when you win, there can be really terrible consequences. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Even in a world like Harry Potter's, with magic and everything, darkness can still win. And what's even scarier is that it doesn't come from some, outside force, some villain. It comes from the hero himself.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew. We spend 7 books, 7 movies cheering for Harry. We believe he's good, but this ending, it says even the best of us can be corrupted, that even the strongest person can be changed by power.
Yeah, and it shows that the fight between good and evil, it doesn't just end with a big battle. It's something we face every day, even in the small choices we make.
So we've talked about this alternate ending, this dark path where Harry becomes the thing he was fighting against. But why should we care? I mean, it didn't even happen.
I think it matters because it makes us look at the story in a new way. To think about heroes and destiny and good and evil in a different way, it's like holding a mirror up to the original story, and we see things we didn't notice before.
Yeah, it's like looking at a painting from a different angle.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's not so familiar anymore, and you start to see things in a whole new light.
Exactly. And by looking at this darker ending, we appreciate the choices Harry made in the original story even more. All the sacrifices he made, the way he always chose love and friendship, it's what helped him find the light.
It's like saying, look, this is how easily things could have gone wrong. Harry was so close to giving into the darkness, but he didn't. He fought it, he resisted, and he chose a better way. That makes his victory, his triumph, so much more powerful.
And it's not just about Harry either. This ending makes us think about the other characters too. Think about Ron and Hermione. They had to decide whether to fight their best friend, someone they love like family. It shows how brave they were, how loyal. They stuck to their beliefs, even when it was incredibly painful.
Right, it makes you think about what you would do in that situation. Could you make that sacrifice? Could you stand up for what's right, even if it felt like the whole world was against you?
Tough questions, right? But that's what makes a good story so powerful. It stays with you long after you finish it. It makes you think and question things, and maybe even understand yourself and the world a little bit better.
So to all you Harry Potter fans out there, as we finish up this deep dive into the dark side, we want to leave you with some things to think about. What does this alternate ending say about power? About the choices we make when we're faced with really difficult challenges?
And even more importantly, what does it tell us about hope? Can hope survive even in the darkest of times?
We really hope you'll check out this alternate ending for yourselves and see what it means to you. And let us know what you think. Share your ideas and your questions, because that's what makes these deep dives so great. It's a chance to talk about the story, connect with other fans, and keep the magic of Harry Potter alive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.